Heat 5 of F1 Racing is brought to you by the Hyundai Azera.
There we go. The flag is not up yet, so we are not within 10 seconds of the start. But now we are. That flag can go at any moment. Driver, there it is.
A quick start.
And it
Terry
looks like
Rinker gets off to a good start this time.
And it looks like Tim Sebold got a good start, and it looked like Chris Fairchild got a good start. They hold their lane until they get to a white buoy. There's the white buoy. Now it's every man for himself. They can start pushing and shoving on each other, right, Bill?
And you can see that right there.
Oh, there
you see that right there.
You saw Rinker give him a little hip check there.
Yeah.
So when a guy does that, he can try to get you to come off the throttle a little bit, Bill.
Well, yes, you have to. You have to. And the other thing you have to do is you have to make sure you're on that down trim, because it's like putting a bigger airplane wing between two boats. It'll go right over backwards when you get close.
Look how little of that boat is in the water, right up until they get to the corner where he's going to plant the bow, make this first left-hander, plant the bow again to make a right-hander, and here he comes on the right-hander, plants the bow, short straightaway to that left, and it looks like Tim Sebold putting pressure on him.
Tim in second. I think Chris Fairchild. I can't tell exactly who it is from that camera angle, but it's a close race.
Boy, Terry Rinker is a hard-nosed boat racer. He just really got off the dock well that time, which he hasn't done in every heat. He's had to come from behind. But this time, he got off in clean water. And how important is clean water, Bill?
It's, you know, my dad used to say, Bill, I want you to start first and improve your position. The guy that's in first, he controls the race. I mean, it's hard to get around him. He's got the pick of the lanes going into the turns. It's the place to be.
So
there's Chris Fairchild coming up on him.
That boat's a little bit smaller. We talked about that Lee craft is a bit smaller than maybe the Sebold boats. Now you're hearing the name Sebold a lot. I'm talking Bill Sebold, probably the greatest Formula One driver ever. Both of his sons, Mike and Tim, drove, but they also were boat builders. Tell me about that, Bill.
Yeah, we built about 450 tunnel boats in our career, and we had a fabulous carpenter that worked on them and did all the pattern work and everything. And actually, the first guy that trained me how to build a tunnel boat used to build hydroplanes and race against my father. So it's a long family tradition.
Now you see Tim Sebold going by Terry Rinker again. You see the white engine of the Johnson and the black engine of the Mercury. This Johnson engine that Tim Sebold, who is out in front, is running is a bit of an experiment. It's been worked on for years now, right? Trying to develop this motor, Bill?
Yes, it has. It was originally built by Outboard Marine Corporation, and Greg Jacobson of Seaway Marine bought all the rights to all of their racing engines when they went out of business, and then Bombardier ended up buying the company. And it's been a work in progress. He's been working on them for about 4 or 5 years now, and this obviously is the best they've done.
Chris Fairchild diving inside of Terry Rinker there, and that gives him a good shot at Tim Sebold. Bill, did the three of you and your two sons, race against each other?
We did. We had a wonderful sponsorship from Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light, and Mike, Tim, and I raced against each other the last 3 years of my career. I retired in '97, and believe me, those boys would rather beat their dad than anybody else out there.
Did that make for some tense Thanksgiving dinners maybe some years?
Yes, it did. In fact, we were in Dubuque, Iowa, and it was Father's Day, and Tim kicked my butt, and I said, move over, let me by. No way. Because we could talk in between the boats with our radio communication.
Oh, really? So you guys were literally talking in real time to each other?
Yes, we could, because we were chasing a guy that was in the lead, and I kept telling Tim to go inside, I'd go outside, the inside, outside, and I said, why don't you move over and let me through? And he goes, no.
All right, we got Tim Sebold, and looks like Chris Fairchild and Greg Foster. There's
Terry Rinker right there.
No, right there, there's Greg Foster right there going up the inside of Chris Fairchild. And it looks like we are going to have a three-boat race for second. Tim Sebold doesn't look threatened at this point, but look at this fight for second. And there's Rinker again. You know, he goes away. It's like he has one or two bad turns, but then next thing you see is that bright yellow boat back at it again.
That's why when you're out there for that qualifying, you like to get as much boat speed as possible. And Tim had about a second and a half on the other boats in the qualifying, so that helps him in this type of a long race course.
You're looking at Greg Foster going around a right-hand turn, and then a quick left, and then a very long straightaway. The longest straightaway you guys deal with all year long.
Yes, it is.
Well,
yes, it is.
Look at that. There was no place. You've got in the middle, you've got Chris Fairchild. On the inside, you've got Greg Foster and Terry Rinker putting pressure on the outside. And there's Tim Siebold leading, but not for long. There goes Greg Foster to the lead.
You can see the way the boats are hopping around because the water gets a little churned up, and each lap it gets a little rougher. And when they start running close like this, sometimes you can go in a turn and actually use the troughs from the other boat and get that left sponson hooked into it and almost do like a dirt bike rider does when he hits that berm, kind of bank off of it a little bit.
Once again, Terry Rinker got off to a good start, fell behind, but now he's out in front being pursued by Tim Siebold. Again, Terry Rinker in that smaller yellow boat. Whoops, he looks like he got a little wide there. That's going to allow Tim Siebold to get up the inside. And it looks like Chris Fairchild, or no, I'm sorry, Greg Foster to get inside of him. It's just amazing to me how little of that boat is in the water and still remain in control. It's tough. You know, the Unlimited, they're using a canard wing in the front of the boat, using air pressure to either push the bow down or using air pressure to lift the bow up. That's a wing between the sponsons. Here they're using the engine in the back. They're either lowering and dropping the engine, dropping the bow for the corner, or they're raising and pushing the propeller back out to get the bow out of the water, get air under the boat, and get that boat to accelerate.
Yes, we have in and out trim on them, and we also have up and down, a vertical trim. You can raise the engine up an inch or down an inch for propellers and water conditions and so forth. And it makes a world of difference in the way you can drive these boats for qualifying and then get in a race. And if you misguess at your engine height, all you do is push a button and drop it down.
And there is a Mercury black engine on the outside and an OMC Johnson motor on the inside. These factories, these outboard manufacturers, they like to see their boat out in front. So you know that the outboard marine dealers around here are choosing or rooting for the brand that they happen to sell. And look at, we got Greg Foster, Mr. Excitement there on the inside, but back about 5 boat lengths from your leader, Tim Siebold.
If Tim would win and Greg would get second, or vice versa, or whatever, that would probably be the first time in history that OMC has been first and second in a heat like this.
There you see it. It looks like that motor is wiggling around. It's really not. The covering of the engine is held on by basically bungee cords, for lack of a better term. So it wobbles around on the engine, but the engine is held very firm.
Yeah, the engines are bolted solid to the transom, other than their hydraulics. And the engine cowlings, which is the cover over the motor, is very, very lightweight. And they do look like they're flopping around, but they're not.
Look at this race. We've got Terry Rinker in the yellow boat up the inside, Tim Siebold on the inside, and Greg Foster on the outside. Wow, this is great racing. Again, I've said it before, but I'm going to say there's the right-hand chicane, not a full hard right turn, just kind of you have to back off the throttle.
That was it.
Wow, that was a great race, I believe. Tim Siebold got it at the end. Hats off to Terry Rinker. He just continues to hang in there and stays a factor no matter what happens.
Terry always does. You know, he's a real tough guy, and it's really ironic because Tim Siebold and Terry Rinker were both wrestlers in school.
So that is it for Formula One. Heat 5 Formula One, won by Tim Siebold. And that's it, Heat 5.
Heat 5 of F1 Racing has been brought to you by the Hyundai Azera.